Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm here today to share with you my July TBR. So I'm hoping to get quite a bit of reading done in July, just a lot of pleasure reading, and also continuing on some of the TBRs that I set out in the beginning of the year. So I'm excited to share those with you. Each month I listen to one or more audiobooks depending on how much time I have. This month it will probably only be one because I've chosen a really long audiobook, and that is Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. This is my second Sarah Waters. I read The Paying Guests, also listening to it on audio a few years ago. Really enjoyed it. Her writing style is very entertaining, and one of the reasons that I decided to choose this audiobook was because of the narrator, and that it is Juanita McMahon. And I listened to her narrate the Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry, which I adored. I loved that book, and I feel like a huge reason why I adored the book so much was because of Juanita McMahon's narration style. I did look up a little bit about her, and she is an actress, a British actress, and she just is so good at voice characterizations. You really have no trouble figuring out who people are based on her narration style, and she's beautiful, really engaging and character layered style of narration. So really excited to read Fingersmith, and this is set I believe in Victorian England, from what I can tell, and it follows a group of thieves, and we're following Susan, who is our main thief. She's been her mother was a thief who then was killed, and then she's raised by a group of thieves, and it's about their life and them trying to execute a really big swindle which will make their fortunes. So far so good on that one. So the next two that I'll talk to you about, next three that I'll talk to you about are the nonfiction that I'm going to be reading for the month of July. So one of them is from my 5-star predictions list for 2024, and it is a memoir list, and this is The Stopping Places, A Journey Through Gypsy Britain by Damian. And Damian is from the Romani Gypsy people, and this is a memoir about his history, his family, and what it's like to be a Romani person in traveling around Britain. And this book was recommended by Mel, who still has a channel, but she doesn't really do booktube anymore. Years ago, a long time ago. It's been on my list since she recommended it, and I bought it, I think maybe last year or the year before, and so decided this was definitely going onto my 5-star predictions memoirs for this year. So very excited to get to this one. I also really love the cover. I think it's just got a really beautiful detail there. Another pleasure read, pure pleasure, is going to be The Olive Tree by Carol Drinkwater. So I started reading Carol Drinkwater's memoirs about living on an olive farm outside of Nice in the south of France, or is it outside of Cannes in the south of France? I cannot remember where her farm is, which is silly of me, but it's down in that region. And I love her writing style. I loved the insight into her life. And so she has written 7 or 8 books in this series, and it kind of follows her life and also her passions as she is changing and evolving as a person. So the first 2 books are specific to her olive farm and revitalizing the olive trees and harvesting and fixing up the house and her relationship with her husband and all these types of things. And in this one, it's more specific to the trees. So I really enjoyed the olive route. I thought it was really interesting because she was traveling and visiting these different countries, and this one is similar along those lines. And during the time that she's traveling in this one, she goes to Morocco, Algeria, and Italy before returning to the farm. The other one was, the olive route was really great. I'm sure the olive tree will be really great too. And then I have her, I believe, final book in this series about and its return to the olive farm. I believe that one's called. So yeah, excited to get to this one. Love these books. Love her writing. Sorry, that was a really long preamble there for that one. And then this one is research for my artwork. So this is the morning after the 1995 Quebec referendum and the day that almost was, by Chantal Hebert with Jean Lapierre. And so if you're new to my channel, I am an artist and I do a lot of reading that informs the artwork that I am making. In 1995, before the Quebec province's referendum about whether or not they would like to stay as a province within Canada or separate and become their own country, I was almost 18 years old, just less than a month shy of turning 18, so I was not able to vote in this referendum. It was a pretty important and pivotal time in my development as an adult. And so, being only 17 at the time, I really, as immersed as I was in the situation, living in Quebec and being a college student, I don't think I knew a ton about the background and all of the details going into it. And so this book is a refresher for me. It's reading about the political situation, seeing how much I remember of it, maybe getting some insight into what was going on behind the scenes that I wouldn't have known at the time, and just, expanding my knowledge about a pivotal event in my life. So that's why I'm reading this one. And I have 3 left to tell you about. So another novel that I'm reading is The Emperor of Paris by C.S. Richardson. So this is my first C.S. Richardson. He has written The End of the Alphabet, which was a pretty popular book. And the other book that he wrote that I remember being, it's not going to be in here, is it? Anyway, there was another book that he wrote recently, which was on, I think, the Giller Prize list a couple years ago. The Color of something. I'll put the title here. And so I had that one on my list, but I didn't realize that I didn't connect him and that book until I put this into my Goodreads. So this is historical fiction. It is different, disparate people living in Paris and how they connect around a certain event. So at this point, I have started reading this. I am 50 pages in. We have encountered a baker. We have encountered a painter. We have encountered some people about the town who go to the bakery, and there's some sort of a bookseller or something like that involved as well. So it's still, the plot has not really started to happen yet, so I don't really know what the main plot is, but it's kind of chance meeting and fate and all those types of things, and it's set in Paris. And in case you don't know, I am a big fan of Paris, and I have a whole TBR that is dedicated to books about France and Paris. And so I have to read at least one a year, because it just, again, is a pleasure for me, and I'm excited to kind of see where this goes and what this turns into. I'm still kind of not sure what's going on in this book, to be honest. So I will report back to you in my monthly wrap up as to what happens in this plot. And then the other fiction book that I'm going to be starting in July is The Marrow, Thieves by Cherie Dimaline. Cherie Dimaline is a Métis Canadian author. This is like a breakout bestseller book. It is YA sci-fi fantasy, and I'm reading this with my son Elliot. I'm excited to finally get to this because I've heard a lot about Cherie Dimaline's writing, and I have not read any of her books, so I'm excited to start with this one. As you can see, it was part of Canada Reads, the Governor General's Literary Award winner, the Kirkus Prize winner, Amy Mather's Teen Book Award winner, and the First Nations and Métis 2018 winner, Burt Award for First Nations and Inuit and Métis Young Adult Literature. So it's like a big one. It's a really popular book. It's like, to me, it's kind of bad that I haven't read it yet, so I'm excited to read it. And this is set in a world where the earth has nearly been destroyed by global warming, and the indigenous people of North America are being hunted for their bone marrow because they are the only people left who can still dream. And so this dreaming is this thing that everyone wants to be able to do, and they can't, so they're trying to capture these indigenous people so they can steal their bone marrow. So that is the premise of the book. Very excited to get to this. And the final book I've got on my TBR for July is Motherhood, Poems and Belarusian Protest Diary by Julia Cimafiejeva. And it's translated from the Belarusian by Valzunia Mort and Hanif Abdurakib. So this, I think I was just looking for something else in my library catalog, and this popped up, and I looked at it and I thought that looks really interesting. I'm gonna check it out. This is a poetry collection where personal is inevitably political and ecological, and I think it's also a kind of diary-esque, like, I think that there's kind of like a nonfiction element to it as well, which I think this mixed media idea is quite interesting. So Julia Cimafiejeva, I hope I'm saying Jeva, was born in an area of rural Belarus that became a Chernobyl zone during her childhood. The book opens with a poet's diary recording the violence that has unfolded in Belarus since its 2020 presidential election. So yeah, just interested in learning a bit about Belarus and Julia's life, and yeah, that's my poetry collection for July. So those are the books that I'm planning to read in July. I am just trying to have a summer where I'm reading things that are pleasurable and feel life-affirming in some way, and also, of course, challenge me to expand my horizons. So I hope you have a really wonderful reading month in July, and I will be back again soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.